This is what happens when you light the fuse. You get violence.
No, but you sound like you are defending.
No,
you are attacking the event itself.
I would do it another way. I would do it another way. I agree with your point that we shouldn't let these people intimidate us.
You know what else the jihadis don't like? They hate Jews. Well, should we get rid of all Jews?
Well, that's what Ms. Geller, I think, is coming from.
Well, that's the path we're going to go down if we start catering to the jihadis. There's no satisfying them. There's no making them happy. You can't not do things because the jihadis are going to be upset.
I fall on the side of Megyn Kelly here. Absolutely. Joining us now, though, is Rabbi Shmuley Boteach, America's rabbi, founder of the Jewish Values Network. And Rabbi, welcome, sir. As always, good to talk to you, my friend.
Well, I'm a little bit more telegenic than Megyn Kelly, and it's a pleasure to boost the ratings on your show, Steve.
All right. Well said. All right, so let me ask you, where do you come down on this? There are so many, Bill O'Reilly, Greta Van Susteren, and others who are saying this was unnecessarily provocative. They shouldn't have done it. Nobody should hold these kinds of events because they know what the outcome is going to be.
Well, I'm a religious man, and I'm not into any gratuitous insult to any faith, my Muslim brothers and sisters, Christian brothers and sisters, but let's not be ridiculous. You don't die because you insult a religion. You should not be the target of assassination. That should be where our principal condemnation lies. We can have a conversation with Ms. Geller and ask her whether these events, very provocative as they are helpful. Are they designed to insult? Because as a rabbi, I would tell her, why would you do that? There's no need to gratuitously insult anyone's faith. I want to see more faith in the world. But I don't want to see religious extremism that leads to violence, murder, and death. And the idea that people should die for drawing cartoons is the highest abomination.
Yeah, well, I'm with you on that, certainly. And again, I wonder how, any female who's in line with Greta and Bill O'Reilly would react if the next dictate from the radical Islamists is, guess what? If all the networks don't fire their female anchors, they will all be targets. Their buildings will all be targets. You'll never know when we're going to strike. Will they capitulate? I mean, where do you draw the line once you say, oh, you shouldn't draw the cartoons? So where do you draw the line once you give in on one thing?
You know, Steve, in an age of such moral confusion, the only way to really understand how to proceed when it comes to stories like this, where there are conflicting interests, should we offend religions, should people die for offending religions, is to have gradations of evil. The most evil thing of all is murder in the name of God, murder at all, killing people in cold blood. That has to receive the absolute condemnation of all. We can then debate the more human issue of how we treat each other and each other's faith. Should we respect one another? Let's say Muslims are offended by depictions on paper of the Prophet, and not all Muslims are. We've seen op-eds, even in the New York Times, from some leading Islamic thinkers that have said that this never was a blasphemous charge in Islam, that it's a minority opinion. But be that as it may, we can debate what it means to respect one another. But it has to come over with the overarching principle that killing each other for offending one's faith is blasphemy, and it's the age-old sin of religion. Can we stop using God to spill other people's blood? And it's an appeal I make to my Muslim brothers and sisters. And I respect Islam tremendously. And there were eras when Muslims had incredible peace and harmony with my people, the Jews. Iberian Peninsula in Spain, the golden age of the Jewish community in Spain. I could go other examples. Maimonides being the chief physician to Sultan Salah al-Din. But the idea that we would not fully condemn those who want to murder in the name of Islam, that's going to tarnish the name of Islam. That's a far bigger blasphemy to the memory of the Prophet than any depiction in a cartoon.
Yep, absolutely. You wrote a great piece at Shmuley.com talking about how since 1979, the revolution in Iran, 4,000 to 6,000 gays have been murdered, have been put to death by that regime in Iran. And, the world is silent. Really, the world is silent on the killing of Christians, on the killing of gays, on the treatment of women. Why?
Think about this. We're currently debating whether gay marriage should be allowed in the United States. The Supreme Court itself, our highest court in the land, is taking up the issue. Yet gays in Iran, they're not even thinking about whether they could tie the knot. They're just thinking about, will they be beheaded? Will they be hung from a crane in the middle of the street? Will they be turned in by their own family members? Will they have electroshocks put on their privates in these sex-altering operations that are even funded by the government, as I wrote in that piece. And we hear absolute silence from a lot of the gay lobby groups. Now, the gay lobby groups are very influential in the United States. And look at the achievements they have. My gosh, if everyone was as effective politically as the gay lobby groups, there's a lot to be learned in terms of their effective agitation. Why aren't they agitating on behalf of the innocent gay men and women who are being slaughtered in Iran? Surely they would come to the Obama administration, they would say that prior to any agreement being signed with Iran, which will of necessity legitimize that government and bring them out of their current pariah status, let alone give them tens of billions of dollars by which to kill people around the world with more terrorism, that a caveat of the agreement should be that they have to stop killing gays. And we don't hear a word of protest from the gay rights groups. And I'm flummoxed. Is it only gays in America that should have rights?
Well, I'll tell you why, Shmuley, also, because the radical gay groups in this country are the most intolerant people I've ever met. They demand tolerance and 100% acceptance at the same time, but they exhibit no tolerance or acceptance of other people's views. And they rather see a conservative lose his job and spend their time and money attacking them here than fight for the gays who are being slaughtered elsewhere. Rabbi, great.
If that's true, then I would say to every gay rights group, you know what? Fair game. Go after conservatives who are opposed to gay marriage because you believe it's your right. I understand that. But go equally after liberals, progressives, people like President Obama, who aren't even bringing up the issue when gays are being killed.
Rabbi, good talking to you, sir. As always, Rabbi Shmuley will speak to you soon. Folks, you want to be on the show? You want to participate in the Call Steve segment? Email us at callsteve@newsmax.com. Call Steve at newsmax.com.